So as you've probably seen from the load of videos that just dropped on YouTube like a few minutes ago, the OnePlus 3 was just released, and this is basically going to be my top 5 of my top 5 favourite features in this phone, just based on what I've seen and stuff like that. So number 1 is the completely new design that this phone has. So this phone has a design that looks kind of a bit similar to a HTC 10 phone, but it also has its own unique features, but it just looks a whole lot better. It's got a unibody metallic design that really makes it look really nice. So this phone's super thin at 7.3mm, which means that the camera bump is there, as it is on a lot of thin phones. But whether that bothers you or not is really up to you. But stuff like the alert slider is still there, and the fingerprint sensor is still there. More on that later. Coming in at number 2 is the dash charger, and this is something new from OnePlus, and it's basically going to charge the phone up to 60% or so in around 30 minutes. But it isn't just that, it isn't just like a normal fast charger. Basically what it's going to be doing is it's going to be distributing the heat out of the wire before it gets to the phone. So the phone isn't going to heat up, and it isn't going to make stuff slow on the phone. So while you're doing tasks such as gaming on the phone, taking 4K video, it's actually going to be just as fast as it was before, and it's going to charge just as fast as it usually does. But yeah, this obviously has a special type of wire, so you don't want to really be losing this wire, so make sure that you keep it safe. Number 3 is that it's got 6GB of RAM, which is more than some laptops have, never mind. I mean, that's just a crazy amount of RAM to have in a phone, and yes, it might be a bit of an overkill, but they're really wanting to future-proof this phone, and they just wanted to make it run as smoothly as possible. They want you to be able to switch between taking 4K video to gaming, and all of that super smoothly. And from what I've seen from reviews and stuff like that, it does seem like it's a really fast, really smooth phone that can handle pretty much anything that's thrown its way. Number 4 are camera improvements. Now obviously I haven't got to try the camera out for myself, but from what I've seen from other people's videos, this phone has a really nice camera, which isn't as good as the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge and cameras like that, but it's really close to being as good as those. It's really good at nighttime photography as well as it is in daytime photography, and you can also go into manual mode where you can shoot raw pictures, or you can just control all of the settings like the aperture, the shutter speed and all of that sort of stuff. And for when you're taking videos, you can record in 4K at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second. And there's also optical image stabilization, which they've coupled with electronic image stabilization, which basically will make it that extra bit stable on the digital side as well as the actual optical side. And this is basically going to give you super smooth videos. And there's also a nice little feature where when you're smiling, it sees that you're smiling and it takes a picture of you. I just thought I'd mention that on the end too. So for number 5, this is probably going to sound a little bit weird, but I don't know how else to say it, but other hardware basically within the phone. So this phone's got quite a few other things that I want to mention, but they're just little things that didn't really deserve having their own place really. But there's going to be NFC, which is coming back. The fingerprint sensor is a lot faster than the last version, and it's almost instantaneous, just a tiny bit slower than Touch ID. And yes, it's going to have a 1080p AMOLED display, which for me is actually a good point. I wouldn't actually want this phone to have a 4K display because it's actually only got a 3000 mAh battery, and you don't really need any more than 1080p on a 5.5 inch display. You're going to not be able to see any of the pixels, so I don't really see the point unless you're going to be going into VR like every single day. And still, because this is an AMOLED display, it does really good blacks, really good whites, and the display looks really good from what I've heard. So that's pretty much it. Those are my top 5 features in the OnePlus 3. If you want to see more full reviews and stuff like that, just go on YouTube and type in OnePlus 3, you're going to see loads of them. But I hope that I gave you a little insight into the OnePlus 3 because I'm super excited about it, and it looks like a really good phone, and I like the way that OnePlus is going with this. Oh, and by the way, the price is £301, I think. £305 or 10. I'm going to be putting the price on screen around here anyway, so you'll be able to see it. But it's still a super cheap phone compared to the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge and the HTC 10 and all of those flagship phones. So it is a good one to consider if you want to basically buy a new phone now. But yeah, that's about it. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.